How's it, punters? Welcome back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast. New season, football's about to start up again. We're going to be chatting about the EPL, of course, in this episode, and then touching on some other sports, some cricket, some rugby, a bit of tennis, and F1 after that. Simon's with me as always. Simon, we had a pretty entertaining Community Shield match over the weekend. Manchester City against Liverpool.
Yeah, we did. No, it was fantastic, actually. I often find that fixture a little bit dull. I think
Yes.
a lot of players are out of practice, and it doesn't always deliver on sort of the spectacle of obviously an FA Cup and a Premier League winner coming together. But that was a very very good match, and I think Liverpool in particular looked in very good nick, I must say.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the match. I'm glad it was pretty action packed. There was a lot going on. It wasn't one of the usual kind of dull matches between those two those two sides that we've become accustomed to. A lot seeing all the new signings out there is great as well. And
Yeah.
so we've had a little taster for the start of the season. So I think we might as well just jump in straight into the season with a couple of, I don't know, maybe teams that we should be watching. We'll have a look at some of the
Yeah,
first
well,
few
I think
fixtures
I
as
think
well.
seeing that you mentioned transfers, I mean, I just picked out a few which I think are going to be quite interesting going forward. I mean, obviously the biggest, no doubt, is Erling Haaland going to City from Dortmund. Didn't have a fantastic showing against Liverpool, but obviously he'll find his feet. A lot of people very skeptical over how he will
Fit
play in the
into the
Premier League,
system.
which is, there have been a few players that have come from Bundesliga and struggled a bit. Then another interesting one, I think, is Raheem Sterling to Chelsea from Man City, which I think he'll be a fantastic addition to the Blues. And then Nunez to
Mm,
Liverpool from
great signing
Benfica.
that.
Fantastic. I think he will fit brilliantly into that side. I really do. I think he's just the kind of player that suits Klopp's style. And then another big one for Arsenal is
Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great
So yeah, I
signing as
think
well.
fantastic signing. I think they need another they need a good forward. So I think that he should fit into the system very well. So yeah, I mean there are plenty more, but I think those are some of the biggest and perhaps will be the most impactful. But we'll see.
Yeah, really looking forward to the season. It's really building up to be a good one. I'm quite interested to see in how some of the, I don't want to say also rans, but some of the other teams that struggled last year
Yeah.
did.
One
And with
one transfer which out of the Premier League, which I'm a bit sad to see, is Sadio Mane, who's gone off
mm,
to pack his bags for Bayern
Bayern,
Munich.
yeah,
So it'll be pretty interesting to see him again.
can't blame him. I think he was there for what, 5 years. I mean,
Mm,
he's
yeah,
he's getting on as well. He's in his
sure.
early 30s, so
Yeah,
good move for him to go to another big club. And I think Liverpool have done good business in replacing him. So.
sure.
And then Chris Wood signing for Newcastle. Not too many other players, eh? That's
Yeah,
what, three
not
other
too many, and
players.
I was quite interested to see that Betway, at least. I haven't looked at too many other bookies, but Betway actually have Newcastle to win the league without the Big Six. So basically, for them to come seventh or better, which I thought
I
was
think that
quite optimistic. I
I
mean, I
think
think
that's
I
quite
think
optimistic. Yeah.
I think a top 10. I think a top 10 is more than likely. I wouldn't say that's even a guarantee. I'd say to me that's about a 50-50. But sure, I mean, for Newcastle to be best of the rest, I thought was quite bold. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I think Newcastle will just have let's call it a solid season.
Yeah.
Top 10 finish would be good. Haven't signed too many new players. Everyone's still kind of adapting and changing and whatnot to
Mm,
the new system. So I
yeah.
think give them another season and then we'll probably see them as a chance for maybe a Europa League place or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then let's jump into teams to watch out for the season. I think it's going to be a two-horse race between Liverpool and City. I don't see anything else.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. I think we're going to see much of the same, and I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if we see them run away together even more than we
Hmm.
did last season. Look, I think there have been some good signings by the clubs in and around them, but I do think that they still are by far superior. One team which in our wrap up podcast last season, I said Tottenham I thought were the most improved team in the league in the league, and I think under Antonio Conte they really are showing their metals. So I think
Definitely a side to watch.
definitely a side to watch. And actually, in terms of the outrights, that would be the one bet which I do like. So I would actually back them to win without Man City and Liverpool, and you can get that at odds of 2.6. So basically, saying there that they're gonna come third or better. Not fantastic odds, but I do think that they have the edge over Arsenal, Chelsea, and United.
Yeah,
For that
it's
spot.
going to be interesting, that race for the top four. Although I think it depends on how Chelsea do this season. They haven't had a great
Mm,
preseason.
yeah.
Um,
Look, it's
they've
theirs for
really
the taking. That top four really
yeah.
should, they should not be happy with anything less than third, to be honest.
Yeah, and then Spurs, of course, have the potential to kind of cause an upset, but I just don't think they have the legs. And then Arsenal, obviously, going to be battling it out for that as well. So there's pretty much, and then I guess United, we're not sure what's going to happen under Ten Hag. So it's a bit
I think
difficult to
it's
count them in on any kind of top four finish.
I think it's going to be a positive change. It's just how much can happen in the space of 10 months. But I think Liverpool are going to be on an upward trajectory. I think, no doubt.
And also, what's going to be happening with Ronaldo? Is he going to stay? Is he going to leave? Going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, so I think we're probably going to have City win the league, followed by Liverpool, then Chelsea or Arsenal. I think would be my. Oh, well, actually, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, of those three.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Spurs there to come in third. That's going to be my outright bet. Basically, best of the rest without Liverpool and
I
City.
like that one. I'm
Yeah.
just not sure what's going to happen with Chelsea. That's my kind of if one. But yeah, let's have a look at the first week of fixtures. We've got a pretty interesting one on Friday. We've got Crystal Palace taking on Arsenal. Arsenal have looked really, really good in preseason. I can't look past anything but to win for Arsenal here.
They have, yeah. They've been laying on the goals big time. Yeah, it's yeah. When you've seen Arsenal have such fantastic and such terrible starts in the league, it was always kind of wary to back them early days, because you just don't know what kind of Arsenal you're going to see. But it has been a promising preseason. So look, I think those odds of 8 to 10 look very fair.
That's Crystal Palace as well, so it's not the biggest threat. Then we've got Liverpool taking on Fulham. Liverpool should have no problem picking up a win there, 1.27 for that. Other notable fixtures is we've got Newcastle taking on Nottingham Forest. Spurs taking on Southampton. Everton taking on Chelsea. Could be an interesting one to see what happens with Everton there. Then a couple of just standard opening fixtures. Man City are taking on West Ham. Could be an interesting one. And then United taking on Brighton.
Yeah, so it's sort of in a sort of similar. I mean, not just in terms of odds, but a kind of a sort of similar matchup in some ways. I much prefer Chelsea to beat Everton actually, than Arsenal to go to Crystal Palace and win. To be honest, I think Everton, they've been really down in the dumps, and I don't think they're going to turn it around the season. I just don't think they've made the signings. I don't think they've lost all the chutzpah. I think that's actually probably my bet of the weekend is actually Chelsea to win away at Goodison Park. I like that at odds of slightly shorter odds than Arsenal to win, but that would be my nap.
Okay, that's a good one. I think I'll put that in a double with Arsenal, getting 3.06 on that. So pretty decent. Otherwise, there's not too much else that really stands out. I mean, there's a lot of value on the favorites if you're going to stick them into a little like an accumulator. Maybe you want to take Liverpool onto City. You're going to get 1.75 around there on that. That's not too bad, to be honest. So there's a little bit of value floating around, but not all that much, I think, just because of the matches and how early it is in the season as well.
Yeah, one price that stuck a little bit out to me was I thought Leicester looked a bit short against Brentford actually. I just don't think they really haven't looked good last season, and I think even money is a little short on them. So
Brentford missing a couple players though.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But obviously, second season now in the league, I think they'll keep on keeping on. I think. So yeah, potentially a bit of value on the double chance there around 1.78. But yeah, I think for me, Chelsea to beat Everton is a nice bet.
Okay, and then what players to watch this season? Are you fancying any sort of top scorer? You think it's going to go with Haaland? Is it going to be Kane?
Well, going back to Spurs, actually, and this is, I mean, it's not the biggest signing, but I think Spurs signing Richarlison from Everton is actually that's a fantastic signing, which I think he's going to do good things there. I also think Sterling to Chelsea. I just think Sterling is going to obviously have maximum game time. I think he's going to do nicely in that setup. So those are two I'll keep my eye on.
Oh, I'm just looking here. Haaland's favourite at 3.8. Very, very short, to be honest, for a brand new player. And yes, he's a great player. We discussed it earlier. But Salah at 5.45. And we've got Kane at 6.2. Actually, quite like Kane at 6.2 there.
Yeah, look, I would be very wary of taking a player who hasn't played in the Premier League to be a top scorer.
Mm.
It doesn't matter how good you are as a player. It's just very different. Playing in the Premier League is just a very cut. It's a cut above the rest. And we've seen time and time again players who are fantastic in their domestic league come, from where, be it La Liga or Bundesliga, and struggle in the Premier League a little bit, especially in their first season. So yeah, I would certainly stay away from Haaland.
And then some of the relegation candidates, we've got Bournemouth and Fulham, Nottingham Forest and Leeds. You reckon the ones that came up are going to go straight back down?
I mean, I would hope that Forest don't, just because they're such a, there's a team with a long history, and they've been there before.
Mm.
In fact, they've won the league, I think, if I don't recall, a very long, long time ago. So I would love them to stay up. I'm not sure they will, but that would be fantastic.
I think Brentford should be safe for survival as well.
Yeah,
See, they're 3.4, so they're just outside those four favourites. They're close to Leeds in their chances, but I think
yeah.
they'll be
No, look,
okay this season.
no. I mean, I think Brentford had a fantastic showing last season, and I think they really will just grow from strength to strength. I think your second season in the Premier League is just so much easier in many ways.
Right then, Simon. There's been a lot of other sports going on as well. We've had some Formula One over the weekend. I think we jump into that one
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we had obviously we've been away now for just over 2 months, so we've missed quite a few GPs. We've actually just hit the midway point of the season, and there's a break now. So we had the French GP on Sunday, and we're not going to be racing again until we race in Belgium on the 28th of August. But I just thought I'd quickly just recap what's been happening, just in lieu of the next race, which will only be happening in a few weeks, but just to catch everyone up. Yeah, to summarize the top three teams, I mean, Red Bull is sort of stretching their lead a bit. Max had a fantastic race last season. He started in 10th on the grid and managed to win. And his teammate Perez is not firing every single weekend, but Max is just really seems to be gaining from strength to strength. But I mean, Ferrari really just keep on buggering it up. They capitalize. They don't capitalize on very good qualifying times, and they're consistently making tactical errors, and it's just costing them big time on Sundays. And then Mercedes are coming along nicely. Hamilton and Russell are getting regular podiums, and they are still slightly off the pace of Ferrari and Red Bull, but they really are not too far off. And I think at this rate, with the inconsistency of Ferrari and all the tactical errors they're making, I actually expect Mercedes to finish above Ferrari in the constructors. So look, I think that Red Bull, to be honest, I think they're going to just keep stretching their lead. But I think Mercedes could put Ferrari towards the end there. I think Russell and Hamilton are finally getting used to this new car, I think, and the porpoising issues are much better than they used to be. So yeah, I still think the best driver car combination is Charles Leclerc, but I just don't see
Mm,
it. Yeah.
okay. And then we've had some cricket going on. T20. There's been I think there were a couple of mismatches in that one, if I was following it
Yeah,
correctly.
there were. Yeah, so we just finished a T20 series against England, and sure, I must say I think I really like the maturity I saw in that T20 side in our defeat over England. Players like Hendricks and Shamsi, who's obviously been around quite a bit longer, they've just become like behemoths in this format. And I think they can be quite easily relied upon to produce the goods. Another player I really like, who I think is going to be a fantastic asset to the T20 team, is Riley Rousseau. Just really, really good with the bat. So yeah, I think our T20 squad is actually in very good shape going forward. And I think even with the likes of AB no longer being there, I
Mm.
think that we look in good hands. Yeah, I must say I got again a lot of confidence watching us play in that series.
Right then some tennis, Simon. We've got. We've got not too many big majors coming up
No, we don't.
this
We,
year.
we've
Yeah.
we've only got the US Open at the end of August, I think it is. But yeah, last week of August. Well, it's 2 weeks, so it starts the last week of August. Yeah, so we're going back to the hard courts there in New York. So yeah, I mean Wimbledon was a
Mm.
fantastic tournament. I hate him with
Great
every
final as well.
ounce of my body, but I still enjoyed a Nick Kyrgios final was fantastic to
Yeah.
watch. Yeah, and the great thing is the men's draw really is just looking more and more open as players like Nadal and Federer really come closer now. Now they're just on the brink of retirement, really, especially Nadal. So yeah, I think it's obviously we're going into the last Grand Slam now, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how we finish up, and I think the next season in in 2023 is really going to be very very different from anything we've seen before.
Okay, so some optimistic thoughts there.
Mm.
I don't know if you tried to play the Battle of the Surfaces at all. I've discussed it in past
Yeah, I
podcasts.
haven't played it myself actually, but you've told me
Yeah,
about it. Yeah, it seems like quite a worthwhile promotion.
it really is. And
Mm.
let me just run through it again. Basically, what you do is you take bets on the majors that take place throughout the year are on Betway, and I think it's every 1 rand bet or something like that, or 10 rand bet
Ten rand, I think it
gets
is.
your
Yeah,
points into the draw or into a kind of leaderboard. And there's so many different prizes that are given away. Lots of free bets, and there's not that many people playing it. So that's why I want guys to go and play it, because I think the first time out I won like 1,500 rand in free bets. I think
sure.
I only deposited like $400-500, and
Yeah,
I used the money on short odds. I'd bet on Djokovic to win, Djokovic plus 1.5, Djokovic plus 2.5, kind of
yeah,
guaranteed bets. You do lose a few along the way,
of course. Yeah.
but the pickup on the free bets is just really worth it. And last time I got about 900, I think, in total in free bets. So yeah,
Wow.
very good promotion to take advantage of. Just free bets up for days in that one.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, that's something that punters can get involved in for the U.S. Open at the end of August.
Yeah, and that's going to be yeah. It's just such a nice promotion. We don't see so many of these going around, especially for something like tennis, which has so many different
Mm.
matches going on
Yeah.
every day. And then Simon, we've got some golf, the controversial LIV.
Yeah. So I think rather than I'm not going to preview any tournament or anything, but it's just very interesting for me at least, and I could honestly spend like 2 hours talking about this, but just to catch people up on what's been going on with the PGA Tour and this new breakaway tour called LIV. LIV actually being the Roman numerals for 54, because instead of having 72 holes over 4 days, you have 54 holes over 3 days. So basically, it's, as I said, a breakaway golf league, and it's Saudi backed. It's a Saudi backed consortium who's funding it, and I mean, there's really almost unlimited funds. And how it works is much more similar to the Ryder Cup than a normal PGA Tour event. So you compete as a team, but also individually at the same time. But basically, your score gets added with all your teammates, and you have a team score, and then you have an individual score. So there is still an individual winner, but there's also a team winner, which obviously makes it more like the Ryder Cup. So I mean, the idea behind it is kind of obvious. I mean, it's you're trying to you're attracting a younger audience,
Mm.
making the sport more exciting with fewer events as well. So there's only 8 events in the whole calendar as opposed to 48. So there's literally one normally every single
Mm.
weekend in the PGA Tour. But these players, the purse for each LIV tournament is so big that players can actually spend less time playing and still earn more money.
Yeah.
So it's a complete no-brainer. I mean, if you think about it, you're spending, especially if you're someone with, with a family. I mean, you're spending the whole year away from home. You can spend, you know,
A
twenty
weekend.
percent of that time, yeah, and earn, and you're playing for 3 days instead of 4, and earn even more money. So there are really 50 golfers that have left over, more than 50, that have left over from the PGA Tour. And these golfers can still compete in the major championships, so they can still play in the Masters and the US Open and so on. But yeah, they're not allowed to keep their PGA Tour card, so they can't play the regular events. But it's quite interesting because I mean I think the PGA Tour have been very slow to adapt the game, and to be honest, I think they should have seen this coming. And fans love the team format of golf, and I can tell you what, people always talk about how they wish there were more events like the Ryder Cup, because it's just so
Mm.
nice cheering on a team as opposed, like tennis. Golf
It's
is
a
a very
different
individual
vibe. Yeah.
sport. It's a
Yeah.
completely different vibe. And if you watch a live golf event, they've got the scoreboard always on the side of the screen with all the names jumping up and down. They all got cool, like very funky logos. You can see it's clearly tailored to a younger audience. So I must say I'm really really excited about the format, and I think it's a great thing for golf. And the fact that the majors are still going to be around, like that
Yeah.
that to me is That to me is great. I mean, there's just so much golf, and I don't really watch anything else but the majors, generally speaking. So it's nice to have these, 8 events a year, and I think the PGA is they're crapping in their pants because they have to try now find the money to try and pay these players more to keep them in the tour, and they're just hopping over, and they seem to, all the players that are going over seem to be having a great time. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, to be honest, the PGA Tour may not even be in existence in a year or two. Who knows? But I'm personally, I'm very excited about it.
Just hope it doesn't turn into a T20 IPL vibe.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's very gamified, which I think is good, because it's a thing. Golf is it's a hard watch for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they've made it easy by making it shorter and making it more fun. And also the one format thing, which is quite interesting, is they have a shotgun start. So basically, instead of different golfers teeing off at different times, everyone tees off at the same time, which means there's only 5 hours of golf. So basically, instead of having players playing from like 6 a.m. till 6 p.m, you've only got 5 hours of golf. Everyone plays on different holes at the same time, and so there's also everything finishes at the same time, which just kind of makes it better for fans.
It does, yeah.
And
then, Simon, we've got some rugby coming up. We've had the conclusion of the Welsh tour, which South Africa narrowly won. I'm not very impressed with the way we're playing rugby at the moment, but that second test was, I don't know, a bit of a I don't want to say mix up, but he mixed the team up nicely, and
I must say, I'm not critical of Jacques Nienaber's approach. Actually, I think that if you want to build a World Cup winning side, you not only need squad depth, but you need players that have the talent, but also the match experience. So, look, a lot of people will be like, "Oh, how can you do that? You're basically like insulting the Welsh." And and yes, we did lose a game by a point, which we should have actually won quite comfortably. So, I knew he was going to get grilled in the media for that. I actually think that it was a good approach. Anyway, but the Rugby Championship's just starting, and we're going to play the All Blacks in the first game in Nelspruit. And I'm not surprised to see us as marginal favourites here. Obviously, the All Blacks stumbled on more than a few occasions of late. Lost 3 or 4 tests
to Ireland.
Lost 3 or 4 tests to Ireland, who are now the number 1 team in the world ranking. So maybe, I mean, yes, we should definitely be surprised, but maybe not all that surprised. We come into this match as favourites, as I said, and the last two times these teams met, and the margin was 2 points. That was at the business end of this tournament last year. So it was in week 6 of the championship. I think it's going to be a very, very absorbing match to watch. As far as team news, Vermeulen and Steyn have been brought back into the side, which I think is a good call just for that experience. And I think one good piece of news for the Springboks too is that Brodie Retallick, who I think he's such a crucial front row for that team, will miss out with injury. So I must say, I find myself often in these sort of situations with wanting to back the New Zealand in the past, but I think that the Springboks at 1.75. I'm not saying those are the most tempting odds. You might be able to get about 1.8, but I think that they're worthy 2-point favorites here, and I'll lean on them if I had to take a bet. But I think
it's a 2-match series. I think there's not 3.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm thinking it's going to be 1-1. I'm just not sure when I want to get involved because I do think New Zealand will win again. I think they're playing in Cape Town after this one.
Yeah, I think you're right. This one's definitely Nelspruit, and I think the next one is Cape Town. I think you're right. Yeah, I agree. I think, look, I think any time these two teams play, it's almost a coin flip. I mean, obviously there have been times in history where one side has been a lot more dominant, but I think we are in pretty good shape. They're not in the best shape. It's 2 point. I think it's dead right.
Yeah, so do I.
I'll argue with that. So I think it's going to be a fantastic game to watch. I'm not sure if it's the best game to bet. But if I would lean South Africa. I'm just not that excited by the odds.
I do think New Zealand are going to win one of these. So I'm just not sure. I don't want to be betting on the second one after a dominant New Zealand victory in the first. So I don't know. I might just lean New Zealand in the first one, and then South Africa just to bring it square. But pretty interesting. I'm quite looking forward to watching South Africa against the All Blacks. It should be.
And obviously there's going to be more weekends of rugby now with the championship starting. So there'll be some good rugby to watch.
I'm sure those tickets at the stadium are probably hell of expensive. Jeez, even those Wales tickets were just
absolutely
crazy.
Yeah,
if there's even any available. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything for the podcast today. We've gone over most of the talking points. Best bets, is that going to be your Chelsea bets? Chelsea to beat Everton?
Yeah, I'll take Chelsea. It's, I mean, you probably get, if you look around, you might even find 1.8 somewhere, but it's around 1.71 to somewhere around there.
I'm going to take Arsenal to beat Crystal Palace. I think Arsenal's preseason
Okay.
build-up has just been too good. I think I'm going to put that in a double with your Chelsea pick because also quite fancy Chelsea there. I haven't quite made up my mind on what they're going to be like, and I think that's going to be quite a good
Yeah.
litmus test. But I'll take those odds available. So 3.06 on that double. Arsenal to beat Crystal Palace and Chelsea to beat Everton. Yeah, guys, that's what we're going to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you in the next one. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.